To get started, I'm going to show you guys how I created the design in Design Space, and then we'll get to actually making the project. So we're going to add some text. To do that, we're going to click on text over here and then type in whatever you want yours to say. And then the only other thing I did was I changed the font. I use this one called DIN, D-I-N 1451. I really like it a lot. It is a Cricut font, so if you have Cricut access, it's included. Otherwise, you'd have to pay for it. So then from here, you can click and drag and resize it however you want. And then I just bumped the spacing out a little bit more, as you can tell, between the letters. So to do that, if you come up here to letter space, if you just increase it, I just increase it a couple notches and then maybe just like a couple more. I just wanted it to be spaced out a little bit more. And then you can either, like I mentioned before, click and drag to resize, or for mine, for example, I wanted it to be about 4.5 inches wide. So you could come up here to size, type in what you want for one of your dimensions, click enter, and then it will automatically size the height proportionally. All right, so we've got the maker selected for our machine. Choose whichever one you're using, obviously. Then I'm going to go ahead and click on Make It. Since I'm working with iron-on, we'll need to mirror the design. So come over here and click on Mirror, and then we'll hit Continue. So we are connected over Bluetooth, and I'm going to choose Everyday Iron-On as my cutting setting, and then we're going to get cutting. So I went ahead and cut my iron-on down to size. This is a great project for using up like any scrap iron-on that you might have laying around. So I went ahead and did that. And when you're applying it on your mat, you'll want to make sure you apply it face down. So if you're working with Cricut's Everyday Iron-On, that's the shiny side will go down, and the dull or matte side is what you want face up. And normally I like to use a standard grip cutting mat when I'm working with iron-on, but I couldn't find mine. This should be just fine since it's a smaller design. So we'll get this loaded in. So we'll get this cutting, and then we will weed after that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this removed from the cutting mat. Mine's just barely sticking on, so that was not too hard to remove. And the next thing that we're gonna do is weed it. So I'm using a weeder tool, and I just like to start in one of the corners, and you'll peel up the iron-on. Make sure you don't puncture through the clear protective sheet, and you'll just remove the excess iron-on. So we're all finished. That's what it looks like. This is how the Cricut cut it, but obviously when we place it face down onto our t-shirt, we're gonna put it down like this, which is why we mirrored the image and we put the iron-on face down onto the mat. So that's what that will look like. If you're working with an EasyPress like I am today, I highly recommend using Cricut's heat guide. And if you're not, I still recommend following the general instructions here because it'll help you to get a successful project. But we're using the EasyPress today, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the EasyPress 2, and then you'll select your heat transfer material, which is iron-on. And our base material is 100% cotton, and we are using a mat, although you can use a towel. So we're going to follow these instructions to a T. I'll walk you through it as we go, but make sure when you are working with iron-on and doing iron-on projects to reference this, because instructions like preheating for 5 seconds and heating from the back are super, super important. All right, so like you just saw, I'm going to get this turned on, and I already have it selected to 315 for 30 seconds, so we'll let that preheat. I'm using a Bella Canvas t-shirt today, and these are some of my favorite t-shirts to craft with. If this is your first iron-on project, I highly recommend using something that is 100% cotton. I personally just feel like it's the easiest, so if you're getting started, I highly recommend using something like that. Another thing I wanted to talk about is placement. So here is what the t-shirt looks like. So I really want to put mine up in the top corner, like right about here. So I'm probably just gonna eyeball it. There are a lot of guides you can find online for t-shirt placements with heat transfer vinyl, but I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. So that is where I'm going with my design. So you just heard the EasyPress just finished. So the first thing that we're gonna do is preheat for 5 seconds. This is just gonna remove any moisture that might be in your t-shirt. So that's preheated, and now we'll go ahead and get this lined up where you want it. Do our best to make sure it's straight. Now I'm just gonna push down, and then I'm gonna take my EasyPress again, and we are going to press with light pressure for 30 seconds. All right, so that's finished. And then the last thing we're gonna do is flip our t-shirt around, and we're gonna heat it from the back for 15 seconds. Perfect. So now we're all finished using the EasyPress. And before we peel off this white or this clear carrier sheet, the heat guide recommends a cool peel, which means just letting this cool off before removing the liner. And so one quick tip here, you can remove your mat or your EasyPress because this has absorbed all the heat. If you remove that and just put your t-shirt just right on your surface, it'll cool down a lot faster. So I'm gonna let this cool down and then we will remove this and finish up our t-shirt. Okay, so it's all finished. It has completely cooled. And the next thing we're gonna do is remove this clear sheet. I'm gonna try and do this nice and up close. It should just come off really, really easily. And I'll try and give you some tips if you find that yours isn't, but let's check out and see how this goes. So do you see how simple this is to remove? It should be effortless. If you find as you're peeling that the iron-on is really having a hard time sticking and you're kind of having to like really pull back on this carrier sheet, I would repeat the same process. Apply the EasyPress on the front and then apply it on the back. So just repress, maybe just do like 15 to 20 seconds instead of the full 30 on the front, and then try and peel off again. But this is going just perfectly. And like I said earlier, this is why I love working with 100% cotton. I'm just trying to go nice and slow here so you guys can see. It should be just this easy. So no need to repress. And then honestly, we're all finished. So that is what the t-shirt looks like. We used Cricut's Everyday Iron-On to do this. Just a super simple project, a great beginner one. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below and we'd love to help you out. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, you can snag everything that we used here on our website, www.craft-e-corner.com.